So we will move on to our 6.8 or 11:15 presentation by the Lake County Museum Curator on the status of the Lake County Museum. And it looks like we have the team here, Lars Ewing and Clark Maccabee.
Clark. Well, good morning. Lars Ewing, Public Services Director. I'm here just to introduce Clark Maccabee, the museum curator. We have, in my time in public services, we have not come to the board with a State of the Museum's address, so to speak. So I thought it would be appropriate and helpful to just let the board, let the public know the state of the museums and where we are, where we hope to go. Clark has a passion for it. He has a depth of experience that is of great benefit to the county. So I look forward to his presentation and I'll be here to answer maybe some administrative type questions. But Clark on the operational side is he's got the helm for sure. And I say that because of his Navy background, too. So.
Thank you, Lars. I have the unenviable position of being placed for public speaking in between people and their lunch. It's the worst place you can be for public speaking. Okay, I'll get right to it. State of the museums, preserving, promoting, presenting all Lake County history for all people, for all time. Next slide. Museums matter, and it's kind of a laundry list, but museums are really important. The county, a long time ago, 1935, as a matter of fact, in the height of the Depression, decided that it was important that there be a county museum, and so that was formed. It was built between a combination of local women's groups and county money, and also work administration money, and founded by Belle Davidson. One of the important things about museums is that it's where people can come together, understand their diversity. In 2001, American Association of Museums found 9 out of 10 Americans trusted museums more than any other source of information. Now, a lot of stuff has transpired in the last 20 years. So they did another study in 2021. The public continues to regard museums as highly trustworthy, ranking second only to friends and family, and significantly more trustworthy than researchers and scientists, non-governmental organizations generally, various news organizations, the government, corporations and business, and not insignificantly social media. Museums are an important part of a community's economy. We have a number of employees that work in the county museums. We also have volunteers, and we're also supported by nonprofits. Next slide, please. So we all understand kind of the challenges of the pandemic. The next few slides are going to illustrate what that has meant to us here at the county museums. We track visitors, international, national, people from California, people from within the county, folks who don't indicate where they're from. And so you see at the schoolhouse, we've had a significant difference in between the pre-pandemic in 2019 and currently. And this is year to date as of the end of May. Next slide, please. We really suffered here at the Courthouse Museum, basically a 300% reduction of visitors. Why is it important that we have visitors? It's a place where they can gather, they can find information, they can get entertainment, but we also rely for our exhibits and some of our collection care on door donations, and all of that goes into a restricted fund to improve our programming and exhibits museum. Next slide. Gibson in Middletown, our newest museum, basically you can see a 600% decrease from 2019 attendance to 2021. Next slide. We're involved in a number of public-private partnerships. Recently, the Friends of the Lake County Museum, so the Courthouse Museum here in Lakeport, they donated $7,000 for new security cameras for our museum. They also bought the previous set of security cameras 8 years ago. That became obsolete. Gibson recently donated us $700 for a portable large format scanner. Lower Lake will be providing the funding for a gazebo to enhance the campus out there so we can do outdoor events, speakers, poetry, so forth. We're also working with the Lake County Poet Laureate, Georgina, and she is doing a workshop and a poetry writing at the end of this week, and I will be participating with the state parks at the Clear Lake State Park. They're doing campfire talks, and I've been asked to provide some content for that. So basically think of ghost stories and legend lore type of thing Saturday night out at the park. This summer we've expanded from just doing it at the courthouse, our outreach for local youth. We call them Family Fun Days because they're on Fridays, Family Fun Fridays. And then we're also going to do them out at Lower Lake. There's not a lot for young students to do in Lower Lake, so we're going to conduct 3 different events. Each event has a particular theme. Agricultural Day. Cultural Day will be going over some of the local Pomo culture. And then Slime Day is popular with everybody. And that's one of our most well-attended events. And we're back doing school tours. And so majority of our tours at the Courthouse Museum or the Schoolhouse Museum. And we also offer through partnership with the Wine Alliance and our nonprofits, the Bus Is On Us. So we provide transportation costs for any school district in the county that wants to bring their kids to one of the museums. Their transportation department will send an invoice that we forward on to the respective nonprofit. So the Preservation Committee at the Schoolhouse, the Friends of Lake County Courthouse Museum here. And so in that way, every student has an opportunity to visit the museums, because here in Lake County, when they come visit our museums, that may be the only museum experience they receive as a youngster. And so we think it's really important, as do our supporting nonprofits, as does the Wine Alliance. Typically every other year we on behalf of one or the other nonprofits, we submit a grant to the Wine Alliance. With the pandemic, we still have funding available, so we haven't submitted a recent grant request to them. Next slide. There's an update on the Lake Pomo sculpture, and this is the most recent version of the maquette with the figures finalized. All we need to do now is the actual paraphernalia and each figure's details, such as a tule skirt and regalia for the male dancer. To date, we've raised $45,000, and we're waiting notification on a grant to push us over the top to fund the sculpture. One of the things I found during the pandemic was we had no foot traffic. We were closed much of the time, and so we didn't have a lot of engagement with our community. And so With the addition of an assistant curator whose specialty is social media, we were able, once she came on board, to do more virtual exhibits and reach our community, even though our doors were still closed. Facebook, we had 5,700 posts in the last 3 weeks. We have 2,900 followers, which I'm quite happy about, because if you look at our peer museums, Mendocino, 1,600 followers, and I don't know if you've heard, they are considering, the county is considering closing that museum because of budgetary constraints. Even far larger county, population-wise, Sonoma and Napa, we have a bigger footprint online. And we use TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. We also have a number of our oral histories. What's coming up, we typically in a year do 3 county, where we produce 1 or 2 large temporary exhibits, 2 minor exhibits, and then quarterly virtual exhibits. Our newest one is very apropos for this period of time. It's going to be on the water, so we'll discuss water rights, we'll discuss the history of the lake and the water, Cache Creek Dam, etc. Thank you. Any questions?
Supervisor Pyska?
Well, first of all, I love those icons.
You love the what?
I love the icons that somebody made, and they look.
Oh,
like
that, yeah, that was Carolyn's.
Yeah, those are great. So I appreciate the presentation. Thank you. My kids and I, we go to the libraries every summer. I mean, the museums every summer. Like to watch the changing exhibits, and we're probably a couple of those really low numbers from the last couple of years.
Well, we appreciate it. Remember, tell all your friends, it's the best deal for the taxpayers' money because the museum admission is free.
And on a hot, hot day in the afternoon when you're out running errands, it's a nice, cool place to pop in with your kids. That's what we do.
Supervisor Sabatier?
I had a question about cameras. Was there a reason for installing the cameras? Were you seeing some vandalism? Were you
Yes.
needing to see? I'm just curious, do you still see that? Are you struggling with that?
Not anymore. We did have some minor vandalism from the homeless. We also had some suspected issues with theft, and the previous cameras just didn't give us enough resolution to tell. Plus, we also expanded. We had 8 cameras originally. Now we have 12 cameras. So the back door has a camera, the entryway has a camera, and then there's better coverage within the spaces, including entry into our restricted areas such as archival storage, where we have a significant amount of very high-value objects.
Right. And I'm guessing that it's possible at the state level, but I don't believe we have a historical building ordinance. Are these buildings kind of marked as historical buildings? Just to, mainly the reason I asked for the question is somebody vandalizing those buildings is more than just vandalizing a mailbox. You're vandalizing a historical monument, and just kind of curious if there's anything added to that, or if it's still seen as a building as far as our laws are concerned.
Well, there is no historic property ordinance within the county. There's one that protects archaeological sites. The 2 nationally registered historic properties you can see from the front door of the Courthouse Museum, which is the Carnegie Library and the Courthouse Museum. There are some state designated ones. We do not have a county register of historic places, which I encourage the board to look into, because there are certain grants we are not eligible for because we do not have a historic property ordinance.
All right. And I know that I did have a conversation with Director Ewing, and this goes for most of our destinations that we try to bring people to. You don't know it's there until you smack into it. And I know that on 29 there is a directional sign for a museum in Kelseyville or for a historical building in Kelseyville, but until you reach the schoolhouse less than 200 yards from it, you don't know that and so I'd like to look into those things to see if we can help direct people towards those monuments that we have here to try and increase those numbers.
Yeah, and as a follow-up to that, that's one of the reasons that we're here. This is something that Clark had brought up, and we are working on behind the scenes, along with something you brought up, which is the marketing. You have not seen the 2022-23 budget, but you'll be seeing it very soon. Included in there is some additional marketing funds for museums, which this is a little bit of a well-timed presentation here. While it was not intentional, I'll jump on that opportunity because if you don't know that those museums are there, or if you don't know what is in them, maybe you see some icons, that are up there. But what is the focus of each of those museums? So trying to draw people in, that's a big use of that increase of funding that is proposed to come from, I believe, the marketing budget into museums.
Okay. But thank you for the presentation.
You're most welcome.
All right, I will open it up for public input if there's anybody that has any comments or questions on this item. I don't see anybody in the room. I'm looking on Zoom. I don't see anybody, so I'll bring it back to the board and say thank you. I do appreciate this presentation, and I know you and I have talked about some things, that we need to work on. One of them trying to reinvigorate the Heritage Commission, that we talked about before, looking at that. And I do agree with you that we do need some to be able to qualify for more grant funding to hold specific items, because a lot of it's stuck in Berkeley or, wherever, we don't know. So appreciate this again.
And if I could just really quickly, I'm sitting up here next to Clark, but Katie Galvani in the audience, she's the deputy director. She really is the point person for Clark to provide support. He knows how to do it. We're just there to try to help him and get him the support that he needs. And Katie's the driver behind that. So I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Katie.
Well, then Katie.
Thank you, Katie.
Come on.
Thank you, Katie.
Supervisor Sabatier.
And I will also put you on the spot with something that I also had a discussion with Director Ewing about. If you have an exhibit opening and there's a reason to create attention to get people to come to the museum to see the new exhibit, having using our public comment, just like we do kind of for our animal control, that is showing off what animals are available for adoption, coming up here, letting us know maybe on this day in history, this is what happened in Lake County, and then letting us know. It would be a great way to advertise and use this as a tool to make the public aware of what is happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we had that conversation, and this is the spur for it. So the next one, he's already researching the dates. Let's just put it that way.
Nice.
All right, thanks again, and we appreciate your presentation.